Hello, this is Mr. Buffington, and we're going to look at multiplying with decimals today. We're going to do it without using a calculator and learn the principles of multiplying with decimals. First off, just to show how this works, or that it does work, we're going to look at a very common decimal, 0.5, or just 0.5. And remember that it means 1/2. So 0.5 means a half. Essentially what we're saying here is 0.5 times 2. What do you get when you have two halves? You have 1/2 and you have another half. 1/2 times 2, you get a whole. Now, I'm using this simple example just to show you that it does work, and so that when we do multiply 1/2 or 0.5 times 2, we should get an answer of 1. So again, this is just kind of a proof to help us know that it does work. This method will work for us, and we can visually see that it does work. So let's go ahead and multiply 0.5 times 2 and see how we can get 1 as our answer. Step number 1, ignore the decimals. So it will end up looking like this, 5 times 2. All right, we ignored the decimal 0.5. Now it's 5 times 2, which gives us 10. Now we know 0.5 times 2 doesn't give us 10, so how do we get from this back to being 1? Well, this is what we do. We count the numbers on the right of the decimal. So in this case, there's one number on the right side of the decimal, that's 5. Right, it was 0.5. So there's one number between these two on the right of the decimal. That means that this answer, 10, needs to have one number on the right of the decimal. So that means we take this and we put a decimal right here in the middle, so it has one digit on the right of the decimal. Therefore, our answer is 1.0, or in other words, 1. And we've shown now, using these steps, how we would multiply this decimal, 0.5 times 2. We know 0.5 times 2 gives us 1 because a half times 2 gives us 2 halves, which is 1. But if we follow these steps every single time, we will get the correct answer, and we won't need to use a calculator when we're multiplying these types of numbers. All right, I'm going to leave these steps up here. Step number 1, ignore the decimals. Instead of 1.2 times 0.3, it becomes 12 times 3. Well, I know what 12 times 3 is. 12 times 3 is 3 dozen, or 36. 12 times 3 is 36. Now what I need to do is count the number of digits on the right of the decimal. In this case, it had 1 here and 1 here. That gives us 2. So our final answer will have 2 of these numbers, 6 and 3, 36, on the right side of the decimal. That's it, 0.36. Let's try it with a slightly larger number of digits on the right of the decimal. 0.03 times 0.03. We're going to follow exactly the same steps. 3 times 3 is 9. That's the numbers when we ignore the decimals. We just have 3 times 3, which gives us 9. Now we need to count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers on the right of the decimal. So we need to have 4 numbers on the right of the decimal. In this case, we only have one number, 9. So 9 is going to be over here, and we're going to fill in zeros until we have 4 numbers on the right side of the decimal. So that's a little bit more complicated. Make sure we fill in those placeholders so that we always have the number of decimals we had in the original question. We have that many numbers on the right of the decimal in the end. When we're working with larger numbers, we're going to follow the same steps. We're going to ignore the decimals, multiply like normal. At this point, usually, I don't know my 123 times tables very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply in this way, right, where we write out the number 123 times 4, and we would multiply it out. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. All right. If you're not familiar with multiplying in this manner, you just multiply like normal in whatever method it is that you do multiplying when you would be multiplying a 3-digit number times a single-digit number. Anyway, you should get the answer of 492. In the end, we are going to count the number of decimals, or digits on the right side of the decimal. 1, 2. So we're going to make sure that there are 2 digits on the right of the decimal in this one. Here we go, 4.92. And that's how we would solve this. So 12.3 times 0.4 gives us 4.92. And that's how we would give the answer with the correct number of decimals. Quick recap here. When you're multiplying decimals or numbers with decimals in them, you ignore the decimals, multiply like normal, count the number of digits on the right side of the decimal, and give the answer that number of numbers on the right side in your final answer. Hope that lesson's been helpful for you, and have a wonderful day.